Hi guys, it's Anissa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing another full face of first impressions testing new high-end and drugstore makeup. All I want to say is this makeup did not come to play. I can't stop smiling because I just truly feel beautiful. Not that I don't feel beautiful without makeup, but there is something about a glittery smoky eye and carved out brows and perfect complexion that is like no other feeling in the world. If you guys are interested to see how I came up with this look, then make sure to keep on watching. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post once a week, so you never have to miss me for too long. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Before we start, the lash extensions are back. I am finally who I was meant to be. Those 3 months of not having lash extensions felt legitimately like 25 years. I'm so excited. We have so many new products to try today. Before I get into my brows, I want to go ahead and prep my lips. I do have a new little lip mask, ILIA Lip Wrap Hydrating Mask. I have been absolutely loving to use lip masks as like my everyday rather than chapstick because in my opinion, a lip mask is going to last a little bit longer, a little bit more intense. But we are doing a lip color today, so I want to go ahead and give this time to sit before we put that color on. I've been buying pretty much every lip mask I see impulsively. I know it's bad, but it's my new obsession, which I never thought that I would be obsessed with lip products. New brow pencil to try today. KOSAS Brow Pop Dual Acting Defining Pencil, and I have this in the color black brown. Purple dyed plastic, clear type of component. Use this to outline the shape of my brows. I'm so used to my brow pencil components being super thin. The component is just reminding me of the Wilma Beauty Brow Styler, but I feel like it's a learning curve. There's little things that you don't even notice affect the way that you apply your makeup or your habits until you get something different. That actually has the perfect amount of pigmentation and it seems to be blending out nicely. I'm used to most brow pencils having a circular shape. This one has more of a triangular shape. It keeps catching on the skin. Really love the way that my brows look. I feel like that gave just the perfect amount of pigmentation. I always can tell if I like or do not like a brow pencil from when I do right here. I really like to define that line right underneath the front. I feel like that just is what gives me that clean brow carved look. I'm in love with the way that my brows look. I actually went ahead and filled them in with a little bit of pomade, carved them out underneath, and applied my eye primer because I don't have any new products for those categories. But if you want to know what I used, I will leave everything down in the description. While I was carving out my brows, doing my eyelids, I realized that this is actually very, very dark. It's very pigmented. I feel like my brows look very, very bold, which I don't mind. Now keep in mind, my hair is black. I got the color brown black. Is a perfect example of why I tell you guys I never actually use black because I feel like black just looks like Sharpie. It looks like eyeliner. It just does not look like your brows. If you have black hair like me, I would definitely recommend getting brown black in this case because if not, I can't imagine how dark and intense that black is gonna be on your brows. And it has been so hard for me to not just pull this palette out of my new stuff and use it on its own. COLOURPOP Good as Gold Pressed Powder Palette. So pretty. I mean, it's neutrals, but it's like warm neutrals with a lot of shimmers, with a lot of gold and yellowy gold. I wish that I had a couple more transition shades. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to dip into the bronzer palette that I'm gonna use for today, which is fine. It is new. I've only used it once. This is the Fenty Beauty STALK'R Face and Eye Bronzer Highlighter Palette. I'm just gonna dip into this for my transition colors, and I'm also gonna use this as my bronzer later on. These two, I'm using these really as my transition shades. I know this product isn't technically new, but I love how multifaceted this palette is. Not only can you use it for eyeshadow, you can also use it for highlighter and bronzer. And these colors are just not muddy at all. They're so blendable. Everything from COLOURPOP I have loved that I've tried. But I have found that the shadows actually are usually a little bit darker on the eye than they are in the pan. That's why I'm thinking this color Bold Rush is gonna be perfect for right in my crease. I'm gonna take a more concentrated brush where I want it in the crease first before blending it out. I have hooded eyes. Once I close my eyes, you can't even see the color, so that's why I'm making sure to place it a little bit higher. And again, I'm just placing it before I blend it out. And I actually have learned to use the fine lines on my eyes as landmarks. I'm just taking this color in where that crease stops, so I'm not taking it all the way in. I went ahead and blended out the color with a smaller blending brush, and I feel like I lost just a little bit of the pigment, so I took a less dense brush and just swept the color over where I felt like I lost a little of the pigment lightly. I have have to tell you if this black is any good. So I'm going to go in with this color, Let's Do It. And I am just going to take a bigger dense brush, just place that right on the outer corner of my eye. This is a good black so far. It's not splotchy or anything. Has a nice amount of pigment to it. I'm just going to take a clean, fluffy brush and start on the inside and just do circular motions. ColourPop definitely has a very blendable formula. It's not splotchy, but I feel like when I blend it out sometimes, I lose a little bit of my pigment, but I honestly don't mind building it back up because it's not splotchy. It looks like there's some shimmers in here and some pressed glitters. So I really want to use this color right here, Nugget about it. I just want to start with that color all over the lid, and I'm just gonna put that on the eye, and oh my gosh, and this shimmer is so smooth. Before I go on with the other colors, I'm just gonna blend the shimmer color and the crease color together really quickly. I love the way that shimmer looks when it just gradiates up the lid. Just to bring a little bit more of the yellow tones, I'm going to take a little bit of this color Trooper. I'm gonna take that on the edges. I'm gonna mix in Bold Rich as well because I don't want it to turn ashy. I don't even know if that did anything. Maybe if it was an orange, it would have showed up a little better because I did the same thing in my last look and I love the tinge of orange. I really want to use these pressed glitters. Shade right here, AU Team, how do you say that? Yep. You guys can see this glitter is definitely more chunky in texture, which I personally love because I think it just adds a whole new dimension to the eye. I always use my finger. A finger is able to pick up on those big specks of glitter and lay them down in a way that a brush is not able to. I've tried a handful of ColourPop palettes, and this one is definitely my favorite. This look is gorgeous on its own, but it is going to be even more gorgeous with a wing. e.l.f. Line and Define eye tapes. These should be TikTok viral. It's like a makeup for dummies type of tool. Not that I'm a dummy, not that you're a dummy, but it just is pretty much accident proof. We do have a new liquid liner, Rare Beauty Perfect Strokes Matte Liquid Liner. I love pin components. I think they're so much easier to use than wands. This looks like it's a brush tip too, which I do prefer over felt. I feel like felt is sometimes so stiff that it's hard to get it to do what you want. That is really black. That is definitely the most pigmented eyeliner I have ever used. It says it's matte. Go to this eye and see if it dries down any at all. This is gliding onto the eye like actual butter. This is hard for me to say because I was literally just saying in my Shop My Stash that my favorite eyeliner is Drugstore until I tried this one. First impressions, this is my favorite liner. Like, liner usually takes me about 5 or 10 minutes to do just to make sure they're both even, make sure that there's no splotchiness, make sure that the black is nice and even all the way throughout, that my wings are sharp. I had to go to a doctor's appointment, but I wanted to make sure that I finished the eyes before I left, which I did. We're back to do the face, but before I do complexion, I noticed that my lips are fairly chapped. So maybe I didn't put on enough of this. I don't know. Sitting in the waiting room and I was like, man, my lips are pretty dry. It was only maybe about 45 minutes. So if this only lasts 45 minutes, let me tell you guys, one thing about me is that I do not reapply my lip products. I don't, unless I'm taking pictures, my lips don't get touched. I just let them slowly fade. So I want something that has a nice longevity to it. So this may not be it. I don't have a new primer water. Spritz some Smashbox primer water on. I always use 2 primers, one that is hydrating, one that is pore filling. NYX Hydra Touch primer. I don't know if this is gonna be silicone-y, if it's gonna be watery, but I really love the pore filler. It's one of my all-time favorites. That is the exact consistency I was looking for. I love hydrating primers are water-based because I just feel like they're so much lighter on the skin. Oh, it smells good. It has just like a spa-y scent. I always recommend more hydrating primers for oily skin people because they're oily skin friendly. They're not going to clog your pores. I feel like water-based primers and gel moisturizers actually soak into the skin quicker because they're water-based. They're not gonna clog your pores. You're gonna see maximum benefits out of that product. It actually did leave a glow too. Y'all see that? The skin ain't perfect, but it's glowing. I feel like my luck has truly turned with these full face of first impressions. Maybe it's because makeup truly is just getting better. Milk Makeup Pore Eclipse, and I'm not mentioning everything that I'm using off camera, but I decided to go ahead and show this because I've only used it one other time and I was really impressed. And oh, I feel like this is a really good combination as well because both of these primers are really, really lightweight. But I love the fact that this primer is lightweight, but it is silicone based. So it doesn't feel like it's clogging your pores. It actually has a cooling sensation. Oh my gosh. Now it is time for foundation. I must say I'm a little worried about the match for this, but I've tried the concealer from this line and I'm in love. KOSAS Revealer Skin Improving Foundation. It claims to be medium coverage with a natural dreamy finish. And I got the color Neutral Olive 360. For a long time, I thought I was a warm undertone, but I'm kind of starting to think that I'm more neutral. I feel like when you're dark, it's hard to figure out if you're a neutral undertone or a warm undertone because you are darker, and the words warmer and darker can often be mixed up. When I was in store, there was a huge gap between this color and the other color above it. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna have to make this work. On this channel, when we test new foundation, we always do half sponge, half brush. Go ahead and do the sponge side first. This is a very thin consistency. Stop. Look at this. I don't know which one of you dreamt it over me, cast a spell on me. Glowy has been my favorite thing. Number one, that's a perfect match. I really can't see any of my imperfections. I can't see my texture, which I don't expect a foundation to get rid of my texture. That's why we go in with powder to smooth. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go in with a little bit on the forehead, and I'm gonna put this over here. That way we don't waste it. Okay, that blended in to be the perfect color, so I'm really happy about that. Before, after. Every once in a while, do I get wowed by a foundation the first time I try it? It oxidizes. This is the same exact bottle. It oxidizes. Whatever you're thinking you are, maybe go a shade lighter because this is oxidizing. Or if it looks too light, it's probably your shade. We're gonna go ahead and do brush side over here. I feel like I've been in this rut with foundations where I try them and I'm like, oh, you know, it's okay, but it's not great. This I am wowed by. Your imperfections are still there, but it doesn't even matter because your skin is evened out. You guys saw it for yourselves. I'm not crazy. Well, I am crazy, but this time I'm crazy and right. I do like the sponge side better. It could be that this side of my skin is more flawless, but I just feel like a sponge just distributes the product in a way that a brush cannot. Okay, well, the skin is giving. The foundation is giving. What claims to be a medium coverage, I definitely agree with the medium coverage. I would almost say that this is closer to the high end side of things because it took away all of my discoloration. I cannot word it any differently than a natural dreamy finish. And this also claims to have skincare products in it. If I could change one thing about this foundation, it would be, I feel like they should put a disclaimer on here that it does darken and it does oxidize. I absolutely love the way that my skin looks. It just looks so plump and fresh and healthy. It doesn't look perfect, but it just looks fresh. 9.5 out of 10. Now is concealer time, and I have two new concealers that are both high-end and I do not hear anything about. Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Concealer, and this is in the color 6N. I always use two concealers. I'm going in with a concealer that is more close to my skin tone to correct underneath my eyes, and then I'm gonna go in with a lighter shade just on the very inside. When are you guys gonna get sick and tired of me saying that? Let me know. But I gotta explain, because some people I feel like are so like, oh my gosh, why is she using two? But I don't use a lot. I like to correct and then highlight. I just feel like it looks better on me than trying to use one shade to do both. If this was not a new product, I would go ahead and blend both eyes out with a sponge. But since I've never used this product, I'm gonna go ahead and do one eye sponge and the other eye brush. And I just use a little bit. Well, that blended out within 2 seconds. It's super lightweight and really creamy. I say that because sometimes you need to know what products just blend out like butter, especially if you're in a hurry. This is a really good match. I wonder if the foundation is the same color, because if it is, then I'll know what color to get. I usually never use concealer on my face. I know some people like to spot conceal, but I also don't have super bad acne. If I did have super bad acne, I probably would. I'm gonna say I like the sponge side better, not because of the way it looks. I feel like they both look very similar, but with that sponge, it literally took 2 seconds. The true bouginess is coming out with this product, okay? Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Liquid Concealer, color 12.5 tan, a little sponge applicator on the top of it like the Maybelline eraser does. I feel like everybody talks about Charlotte Tilbury products and I've never heard anybody talk about this. So is it because it's not good, or is it because some of her other stuff is so overhyped or so hyped that this has like been lost in the shadow? This applicator has a little bit of a point to it, so I do like that. So I'm just gonna take a little bit. Ooh, ooh, that is thick. Does this not have a lot of product in it? Hold on. Guys, that is like pudding. That is not as creamy as I was expecting it to be. How did that work? How did we get from here to here? That is actually really pretty. It's thick coming out. As you guys can see, like it's balling up because it is thicker. And I'm not mad that it's thick. I just wasn't expecting it to be so thick. No way is this gonna fit on here. That's gonna be so messy. Do I retract it? That did exactly what I wanted it to do, but that color, just look, this looks so much more orangey than this does. I don't want it to sit for too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and blend it out. Yeah, see, I didn't like the way that was looking with the brush, so I'm just gonna finish it off with the sponge. It's not getting rid of my fine lines, which I've never found anything that can. I feel like the only thing that would get rid of my fine lines is Botox, and I'm sorry, I'm not putting Botox underneath my eyes. On a serious note, that is not gonna fit in there, so I feel like I need to wipe this off, which I feel like is kind of wasteful. I know some people do not like thick concealers. I personally don't care. As long as it has coverage and it does what I want it to do and it doesn't feel super heavy, I will use it. In my opinion, when you have that sponge applicator, I think that the concealer should be a little bit thinner in consistency because it just applies better with the applicator type. I wish that this came in this type of packaging. The dispenser is all the way up here, so I'm wondering if that's all the product that I got. I just think the execution of how you get the product could be better. The product wasn't getting distributed up into the very tippy top, so it was hard for me to place it right on the inside where I wanted it. Carve out around my eyebrows before I forget, and I just do that with whatever foundation I use that day. Quickly applied a little bit of cream bronzer. We do have a new cream blush. I always put my cream blush on before my loose powder underneath my eyes because where I set, my under eyes kind of runs into where I put my blush, and sometimes my cream blushes do not like to be put on top of powder. So I always like to give them the fair shot and put them underneath. NYX Wonder Stick Dual Ended Cream Blush, and I have this in the color Coral and Deep Peach. I tried and actually have on the NYX Wonder Stick bronzer and highlighter stick. The formula on this is so beautiful. I love the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer, but I hate the e.l.f. Putty Blush. So I'm hoping that I like these. You get these two colors. So I'm guessing that's Coral and this is Deep Peach. I want to go in with Deep Peach at first. In my last video, I applied it right to my face. I should not have done that. I always recommend that you apply the product to a brush first. You applying it straight to your face within itself can sometimes make the product pull your makeup off from underneath. So I like to give it the fair chance of putting it on a brush like this and then just patting it on the face. Ooh, hello. I actually like too that this is more of like a matte, satin matte type of formula. It's not super glowy, which I don't mind glowy blush either. I'm saying that because I'm really impressed with the fact that this is not pulling my makeup off, because I found that sometimes if I use a matte cream blush on top of natural foundation, it will pull my foundation off from underneath. It's building up nicely. I'm so happy that the Drugstore is finally hopping onto the cream blush and cream bronzer trend. Now that we have all of our cheek products on, we are ready to set underneath the eyes. And if you guys can see, this is not the concealer's fault. It's because I didn't set it. This always happens when I go in with my cream bronzer and cream blush. I don't like to go in with my concealer last because then it takes away the color of the blush and the bronzer. So I put the concealer on, then the bronzer, then the blush. That way they can all be seen. It has settled into my fine lines, which is okay, because I'm just gonna go like this and look up and blend. We do have a new Drugstore loose powder to keep the brightness. COVERGIRL TRUBLEND Mineral Loose Mineral Powder, and I have this in the color Banana. I will try it with a brush and a sponge. I'm just pressing it. Definitely brightened, and it did actually do a little bit of smoothing as well. You guys see that? I like to use either a translucent powder or a lighter powder underneath my eyes. Really like that. Taking a powder brush. When I set it with the brush, it kind of oxidized right in here, but not up here. I have a powder for underneath the eyes that always fixes everything. This is not new, but I am gonna go ahead and go in with this JACLYN Cosmetics Brightening and Setting Palette. I'm just gonna go in with these two colors, run that underneath my eyes. This brightens and smooths, which is what I love about it, and you don't need a whole lot. Now you guys see there are reasons that I only use a brush for some steps and I only use a sponge for some steps. New translucent powder, and I'm very excited to try this. I have very high hopes for this product. Makeup Forever Ultra HD Micro Finishing Press Powder. This is in the color translucent. So I really feel like I don't need any more coverage. I'm not going for super full coverage today. I just wanna make sure that this sets and is also actually colorless. I'm just gonna go in. Oh yeah, look at that. Truly colorless. The Makeup Forever Matte Press Powder is one of my favorite powders with coverage. Trying a good colored powder is one thing, but trying a good translucent powder is another. Matter of fact, I am going to do a flash test on this right now. No flashback. None at all. I did not have a new powder bronzer or a powder blush, so I went ahead and applied that, and I also set my brows in place. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the cheeks first. That way I can use this highlighter on my inner corner. ALAMAR Cosmetics Sun-Soaked Highlighter, and this is the color La Playa. Look at that, y'all. This is not glitter. This is straight shimmer. I didn't think that I would ever be able to live without the Becca highlighters, especially since they're discontinued. But the reason I love those so much, and this is reminding me because it was so finely milled that it didn't look like glitter on your face. It looked like sheen. Put this in my inner corner. And I'm gonna go ahead and drag that all the way up to where that shimmer is. That way it doesn't look like it's just there and it doesn't belong. I do have a new eyeliner, so I'm gonna go ahead and smoke out the bottom of my lash line. Juvia's Place, the Nubian, the color Cocoa. My favorite types of eyeliners and lip pencils are the ones that retract because you don't have to sharpen them and you get more product. It's not showing up. I'm having to press really hard to get this to show up. Super shocking. This is not showing up. One thing I'm very big on, especially with the eye area, is having something that is pigmented and just glides right on. That way you don't have to do a whole lot of tugging and rubbing on the under eyes. That's weird. This is just very off-brand for Juvia's Place to have something that's not super creamy. I went ahead and went in with a different eyeliner. I really don't feel like this needs smoked out because there's so much going on with the glitter up top and then in the inner corner. I'm just gonna leave it tight line. I forgot to set my face before I put on my mascara, but you live and you learn, right? I'm really kind of frustrated because my lips are back to being super dry. I'm gonna have to say that that ILIA lip mask is not super hydrating. I've only had two products that I really am not super in love with, so I will take it. I am gonna wear a lip color today. I haven't put on lips in a while, and when I saw that Rare Beauty launched lip liners, I was like, yes. I don't usually get as excited about lipsticks as I do lip liners. Rare Beauty Kind Words matte lip liners, and I have this in the color Wise, and it retracts. Very creamy. It's not as dark as I'd love, but it is a good formula. I like the way that it glides onto the lips. It's very pigmented. Go ahead and go in with something a little bit darker. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in with this lip liner. I know it's not traditional, but I do like the color of it. I'm really glad that I used it all over my lips because I was able to see what the formula feels like. It doesn't feel super dry. This is the finished look. I'm absolutely in love with the way that this makeup turned out. If you guys have tried any of these products, please let me know down in the comments. I am so super impressed with pretty much everything except for like 2 things. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.